Emergency. Queen's Quest arrived. Emergency. Queen's Quest arrived. Emergency. Queen's Quest arrived.
Down to the queens.
Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody inside and outside of the gender spectrum, and welcome back to Stardom Quest, the best weekly Stardom podcast anywhere in the world. I am, as always, joined by... no. Oh, I messed it up. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're
no.
like
How could I...
100 something episodes in, brother. How you doing this?
Oh, my God. Dude, how did I manage that? The biggest episode we've probably ever done, we will ever do. I've messed up the intro. That is crazy. Anyway, I am, as always, Alex. I'm joined by Dylan. Hi, Dylan.
Hey, Alex. Hey, guys. I'm sick this week, but I'm muscling through. I'm a tough boy. I'm here to talk about the big show at the end of the year, and we are not alone because we have a man on the ground out in Tokyo. I don't know if you're still in Tokyo. Are you traveling around Japan, or are you just staying in Tokyo?
No, I am just in Tokyo because it's too expensive to travel around Japan. If you are not if you do not buy some kind of touristy railway pass,
Yeah.
and there's so much wrestling happening in Tokyo, so why should I ever leave?
Yeah.
Anyway, hi, I'm Velkej.
Yeah, he's Velkej. I didn't even introduce him. Velkej. Velkej's here. Woo.
Yeah.
Dylan is the host
What, am I now
Dylan's
allowed to
hosting.
introduce our friend? Like, goddamn.
now. No, just, you're taking over hosting duties. That's, I
I'm
can
good.
relax.
No, I'm gonna talk like way less.
All
That's
right.
my plan, because I'm winded.
Might not go 4 hours then. That's great. Yeah, so this is probably the only review of the show that you will hear that will feature somebody who was like live at the show, because Velkej was there. He was in Sumo Hall. So he's going to have a unique perspective on what landed with the fans in attendance, what didn't land, how things came across live versus how they came across on camera, all that kind of stuff. So if you don't know, and I don't know why you wouldn't know, given that, I mean, you have to click on something to get here, but we're going to review Stardom Dream Queendom, the biggest Stardom show of the year. Big, massive card that was very hotly debated going into it. I think is fair enough to say. People were kind of falling on both sides of the equation, whether it was good, whether it was bad. It has happened. We get to talk about it. So, first things first. This did 3,868 fans at Sumo Hall. That is technically Stardom's second biggest solo audience ever.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not going to beat historic crossover anytime soon. And there's a lot of debate about whether it was like seven and a half.
7,100 or something like that, like just above 7.
Yeah,
I think
it was in that margin. But yeah, so this is technically their second best attended solo show ever. There is a lot of debate about whether there was actually 5,000 people at the Yuzupon retirement show, but like
no chance. Being there in person and seeing how many people was at this show and comparing it to the few photos I remember of the Yuzupon retirement show, if Yuzupon retirement show had 3,000, that's too much.
Yeah, it's definitely one where I'm not going through and counting everybody, but you definitely know there was some inflation to that number. But I'm not really bothered arguing it that much. If they want to keep pushing that as their biggest show ever, be my guest.
I talked to the people I was with, and we kind of agreed that it will hit around 4,000. It looked full. The sumo boxes were also all sold, just like for solo people, which is different because there's 3 types of seats in the sumo hall. There's the floor seats, which are basic chairs. Then there's the sumo boxes, which are like squares of leather which you can sit on. There are no like chairbacks or anything, and they are sold to solo, to two people, or even to four people if you are trying to sell as many tickets as possible for the venue, which is like 11,000 or something like that. If you sell every single seat and every single sumo box to four people, you are going to get 11,000. This time they sold all the sumo boxes. They sold most of the floor seats. I think I'd say all of them basically were sold out. Maybe like dozen or so were not sold out. And they sold a lot of the seats, which in the first rise, which I was sitting at. They did not sell any of the seats behind the stage. So I think that's south, which is like maybe 1,500 or maybe 2,000 more seats to be sold without adding more people to the sumo boxes. So like it looked pretty full, and when we were talking about it, we said maybe around 4,000. So just under.
He did the
Yeah,
math.
It
He did
looked
the.
like
I
that.
respect that. He did the
he
math.
did.
No, it definitely looked good. It looked better than a lot of previous outings from Stardom. I feel like there's always kind of uh little seats, like holes in the seats, but it definitely looked packed. Um, yeah, I guess we'll talk about the upcoming events later, but I
Yes.
do wonder how this looks going into a 15,000 seater. I forget if that's the actual number of Yokohama, but like a big
17.
boy like Yokohama.
I think it's about 16 because isn't Dream Slam was considered a
Dream Slam was
sellout at
15.
16 and a
Yeah.
half,
Oh,
I
was it
think
16 and a
so.
half? I
Yeah.
thought it was 15.
Pretty
So
sure, yeah. So it's around that anyway. We know. I think AJW like notoriously inflated numbers as well. So, um, but yeah, it was about that. Um, yeah, I do think they made a good decision with the
yeah, it was.
stage. Because as much as I prefer entering from the tunnels, if you're only going to sell 3 or 4 thousand tickets, you might as well put up a big stage and bring everybody together, right?
Mhm.
Like I prefer, no stage and people just come through the tunnels because I think it's a cool vibe. It's why I
It's
think,
very unique.
yeah, it's what makes it really cool when New Japan runs here. But if you're only going to sell 4,000 tickets, yeah, you might as well do a big stage and just push everybody closer together so it looks better, and probably sounds better as well. So as much as the design choice maybe wasn't to my liking, I think the stage was a smart choice in terms of like just making use of the space they have in the venue and making it so that tickets they did sell looked more full. So I think they made some smart choices there. And I think overall this is a strong number. Like going in, think Velkej, I think you're in the Discord that I was in, where a few days before it, I was like, I could see them doing like 3,500 ish, just
Mm.
based on the tickets that were going out. Um, and they beat that number, which I think is good. And this is growth from when they ran here in March, which obviously I think they did 3,100 for the second day. So the audience keeps growing for Stardom, and it's just kind of, I guess, this case of keep on building it and getting people through the doors. But they're definitely doing a good job so far, and I think this is a big success as far as the number goes at just under 3,900 really.
The issue, of course, becomes if we ever look back before pandemic times, this number would have been catastrophic for someone like Noah or Big Japan when they were running Sumo Hall, or near catastrophic.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
that is an interesting thing to look at is that everything about live performance in Japan has kind of gone haywire at like the exact time that it becomes necessary to record it for Stardom, if that makes sense. Um, because as soon as we start or they start on one, I ain't I ain't trying to dick ride, but as soon as they start to grow, it's in a time where like growing native audiences is very difficult in terms of getting people to the shows physically. So that is an interesting thing to kind of look at because you're right. 10 years ago in Ryogoku, um, 3,000, anything under 5,000 would be death. Maybe not 10 years ago. 10 years ago was a bit rough, but you know, like 6 years ago.
I remember, I think it was Big Japan show just in 2017, 2018 or something like that, and they drew like around 3,000, 3,500, and it was it was considered complete failure, like absolute complete failure. And right now, Big Japan is happy to get 460 people in Korakuen Hall on the like today or yesterday, and they did it only because they offered sweet potatoes as a gift.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because I remember Stardom recently did that. What it was like 15 or 1600 at Corkin. And everybody was like, "Wow, this is a huge number." And I was like, "They did that in February for Takumi and Mayu that one time. Like 1600 was a number they were hitting before everything, but now because there's so many companies that like struggle to get 300 people at Corkin, that 1600 looks massive, right? Like the scale is just so different than it used to be. And it's one of the reasons why I was always hesitant to do the whole Stardom's the new AJW thing, because I remember Dylan said it to me. He was like, "Yeah, AJW did like 5,000 for one of their like arena shows, and everybody was like, oh, this company's dead,' and Stardom's never
Yeah.
done that. Like Stardom's never hit
Yeah.
that mark, but that was the mark where AJW was dead. Like it is so different. Like the scale is
I
so
mean, we were
different.
just talking about the 30th anniversary. I know we're all over the place right now, but we were just talking about the 30th anniversary. I'm sure that did a good numbers relatively, but it was like the nail in the coffin of the company.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I don't remember the exact number, but it was definitely more than 3,000. You know what I mean for that big show that they had in '98, I want to say, and that was like
Mhm.
the beginning of the end for real. You know, that was like when they were never gonna come back.
Yeah, they did
Um,
7,700 at
see, yeah,
Yokohama Arena,
yeah,
which is an
exactly.
interesting space. Um, and yeah, that was like they're dying essentially. But that's because the show was bad as well. Like
Yeah.
I feel need to put it out there that this was the nail in AJW's coffin because the company was really bad. Yeah, I mean the scale is just completely different. That we're
If
operating
we
on
if
these
we
days.
go to the if we go to the Yokohama Arena for a bit as well, Dylan, can you please look up if you never or do remember the number reported about the second to last attempt of New Japan to go to Yokohama Arena before historic crossover, because they went to Yokohama Arena with AJ Styles on top, possibly. Was AJ Styles' first defense against Ishii?
I will look that up. Alex, you continue hosting.
If
I will look it up.
yeah, if you look it up, they because I'm using Discord. I'm recording on my phone. I just don't want to risk like looking up cage match. They reported something around 7,000, and it was considered like real bad number, and they decided to not go to Yokohama Arena ever again until relatively recently
Mm.
did historic
Yes, you're
crossover,
right.
which
You're right.
is
They got 7,800 with Styles and Okada on top, and it was considered
yeah,
a
as
massive failure.
yeah, complete bomb and failure. Imagine saying that like a month ago, because history crossover got even less people than that, and it is considered a success, and it is their possibly second. It's the second biggest show of the year, I think. So
Crossover,
like
yeah.
we are operating in completely different numbers right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
it's
you're right.
definitely interesting to because like when you try and compare Stardom to promotions of the past, it's like all of their growth has taken place in a global, an unprecedented global pandemic that has halved attendances, ruined economies. Like it's insane. And we will get a bit more onto Yokohama Arena later, but first of all, we should get into the show. The show opened with a pre-show match. It was the Stardom Rumble. Super Strong Stardom Machine and Super Strong Stardom Giant Machine co-won the match after 20 minutes when they beat Miyu Amasaki. There was two X's in this match. One of them was Giant Machine, and the other was Kikutaro, who should never ever get booked again. But
Oh, was it not Gokigen Death?
no, because she was meant to be in his Fukigen. They just
Oh,
changed face paint. Um, Yeah, rumbles are not good. I feel like I can say that with confidence.
Yeah, but the
Like
machines are good, so who cares?
it's kind of cute for a little bit, but I feel like if they were in there for a long time, I'd just be like, what are we doing here? Like this is just Saida.
They would start blending. They would start looking like Zaps, and you would have a panic attack.
Oh god.
Um, yeah, I wrote down exactly. The machines eliminated Miyu Amasaki and then pulled a Hunger Games and insisted that they both win. Um,
That's really
that
good.
is exactly what happened. Uh, yeah, I mean, otherwise it was like, fine. I think Inaba got eliminated like almost immediately, and I was like, damn, that's
Yeah.
crazy. My entire prediction out the window. Um, but yeah. Also, let me also mention Waka got like 3 pins. Like they were double team pins, but this is like the first time she's ever pinned anybody.
Yeah. You still
Those do
got
not
worn in the
count.
heart.
They count. I would say they count relatively.
No, they do not count.
I mean, she didn't win. No, the important thing is that she has to win. Like, not that she gets a pin all over someone, but like her and Saki were fucking pinning everybody. In fact, she pinned Saki. I'm pretty sure with somebody. I don't know, but yeah. So shout
Yeah,
out to Waka.
because she is trying to win as
Yeah,
much as possible.
I'm rooting for Waka. I'm rooting for Waka.
Of course, of course. I suppose that's really all I need to say about the Rumble. It was
Yeah,
a
pretty
Rumble.
much.
The opening match of the show then was Azumi defending the High Speed Championship against Hikari Shimizu. Azumi won in just under 10 minutes with a numero uno. So in our preview last week, I was very unsure about what type of match we'd get, but they went full Azumi style. Like this was full on, athleticism, high speed, trickery, flash pins, all that good stuff. And Hikari Shimizu was really, really good at it. I thought this is a great way to open the show. Like there's just you can't really beat opening the show with this completely unique style done so well. And I thought Hikari looked fantastic.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I had no doubt in my mind about it personally. Uh,
nice.
but yeah, it was a top tier Azumi defense, probably top three of her reign. The other ones being that trios match also in Sumo Hall,
Oh
or
yeah.
the triple threat match with Poi and Koguma. Really, really good. Underrated match of the year. It's not in my match of the year consideration, but it was like way better than anybody gives it credit for. And then obviously the May match, and then this somewhere amongst those three, right? Uh, the May match is probably still one of my favorite matches of the year. So yeah, Azumi's been having a great run, and this match was another one of those top tier ones, and not one of the ones that fell flat. Because definitely she's had a few misses, but this one definitely delivered where you wanted to deliver, and even more so in certain ways that you kind of were questioning, right? So
Yeah.
good stuff.
So Velkej.
Before you ask me the question, I think it was interesting to see that uh, we are now in the position in time of for Azumi's reign that her challengers are countering her stuff before she attempts them to. Because the running theme of this match was Hikari knows what Azumi does,
Mhm.
which is interesting because she had almost no interactions with her. Like the thing where Azumi runs up the ropes and turns around and jumps back. Hikari was quick enough to run behind her and shove her down the post. So, and she was trying to counter the numero uno so many times in so many different ways. It was interesting. It's a new wrinkle in Azumi's reign.
Yeah, no, that's a good spot. Now I was just kind of curious. How do these like? Okay, so I have two questions. So how do these high speed matches get like? What is the reception like? Are people really into them, or are they just kind of like this isn't the main style of wrestling? Like, are they hand waving it or what?
Okay, so I
Atmosphere
was
differ. Yeah,
yeah, atmosphere was good. It was very good match to choose to open the show. I think it was the best choice. I don't think this possibly being put higher up the card would have worked as well, but I think it was the better choice of the few they could have done to put it in the opener spot. From my experience of watching with air quotation high speed stuff, because I was at Seedling, which has their own high speed division, and I was at Oz Academy after, which also is trying to build up high speed stuff with Momoko Hanazono, who was the challenger for Azumi last time in Osaka. And it's usually this stuff is quite comedic. Azumi is also keeps up this trend, but this time she was completely serious, and it was apparent that the crowd was into it. I felt, of course, it's colored by my own perception because I really enjoy Azumi's reign. I really enjoy Azumi's matches, and I think she has changed what the high speed title is supposed to be in back into its original purpose. And I think the crowd was into it and bought into there was one specific near fall where it felt like Hikari is winning. When she countered Azumi Sushi into Azumi Sushi of her own, I think was that a spot?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know if it was a counter in. I think it might have been like a more of a La Magistral. But yes, I know what
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah, yeah. There was one specific counter that the crowd, the people around me, the people around me, there were a few gasps, like involuntary gasps of the kick out. So like people were bought into her and as a challenger, even though they probably majority of them didn't know her before. So I think the match was complete success, and
Right.
Hikari should be in Stardom more.
Yes, I agree. My other thing is, how does Azumi come across live as far as like charisma? You know, because I feel like people are always high on Azumi, but I don't know if she projects as well as some of her contemporaries. Like when you're there live, does Azumi like project that kind of star power, or is she lacking behind somebody like a Starlight Kid in that department?
Starlight Kid did not have that much charisma this time because she was on a bike.
Hell yeah.
That's fair.
But that's so her star power was hurt by that. If she was in prominent singles match, I'd be able to judge much better. But it's she is surely behind someone like Utami, Kairi, Syuri, and Giulia. But one of I this is difficult for me to judge properly because I was high up. I was above the sumo box seats. So it was not like I was able to see expressions outside of when they were in submissions. I was watching on the big screens because cameras were in their faces, so like
Mhm.
it's much better. But so it's like it's not great to judge this thing live for me because of the seats I was at.
Okay. I think though that like that's something that the wrestlers have to do anyway to project to the back seats because if they want to run venues like that more often than like people in the cheap seats will have to kind of feel the charisma a little bit. Um,
It's
and I think that was always
I think
my
she still needs to work on that. That
Mm.
the projection to the cheap seats is much. She does not have that yet.
It's interesting, yeah, because I've always wondered kind of wrestling is so different live, you know, to watching on camera. I've always wondered kind of who does kind of come across well in person and who doesn't. And Azumi was a big one. I
I,
suppose.
what what she does have is that she is very interesting when she wrestles.
Mm,
So because she's really quick and there's constant movement in the ring with her, there is not like the mm, she does not sell too much the exhaustion and such. So there's like you have to keep watching her. You cannot just like turn to your neighbor and tell them something because if you do, you're going to miss something blink and you miss something. So that's her advantage, I think.
All right, fair enough. No, so after the match, in the backstage comments, Azumi named Starlight Kid as her next challenger. So, division is kind of on a full circle now to where Kid and Azumi is your high speed title match again. I can see why they made it, given that it's on a big enough show on the 8th of January, and it's a relatively big match that you're not giving away. Um, but
It's
yeah,
also
I
the
feel
record
like
match.
I feel like Kid should be above this division by now, though. So it's a bit weird. Like I just kind of her naming Kid was like, oh really? Like again for the high speed belt? Are you sure? Um, but, it'll be fun. Obviously, I enjoy them
I
together.
I feel like the perspective of the high speed division is strange because like I feel like someone like Mayu Iwatani is so above the high speed division theoretically, but if she challenged for the belt tomorrow, that would make total sense. And I think that's the case for pretty much everybody who is capable of running the ropes quickly in the company. Like I don't think that like there's like this like above or below, or I think the high speed division is the most fluid belt of all of the like because you aren't going to see Saito winning the red belt, but you could see if Shuri ran a little bit quicker, I could see her win the high speed belt. You know what I mean? Like if anybody decided that, oh, I'm gonna do more cardio, they could win the high speed belt tomorrow. Um, Maybe when Hazumi's done with it. But you know what I mean? Like I think that is something that is a very big perspective thing, and it isn't so much of like a actual thing. I don't think that like being above the high speed title is something unless it is explicitly said. Sort of like how Hazuki said it. Like, oh no, this is your thing now, Azumi. I don't want to do this anymore. Uh, I leave it to you. Same thing with Momo with the white belt. Is that she's like, I don't want to do the white belt anymore. I'm above it. I never want to go back to it. And nobody's above the white belt unless they say they're above the white belt. Just like, in my opinion, nobody's above the high speed belt unless they are explicitly above the high speed belt. But that's just me.
I think you like that belt way too much to admit that a lot of people just view it as an undercard thing. Because I mean, it opens the show a lot. And it's low on the card.
Well, I'm
It's
not a big
kind
fan
of
of it
its
opening the
spot.
show, as you know. So
Okay,
that is
that's
one
fair.
thing. But no,
Um,
I get what you're saying, but I think that like, but I think it's like the same thing with Azumi. Like I don't see any reason why, like a lot of people see it as it's pigeonholing Azumi, and I just don't really see it the same way because for one, without Azumi, the high speed division is kind of dead because she kind of brings out people, aggressively to challenge for it. But also I think that like it gives her a certain flair that, and I've said that she could realistically just use as a belt buckle, like Shuri did with the SWA belt, where she is kind of was like, yeah, I'm the champion, I'm the SWA champion, but I am looking for other belts because this is just kind of part of me now, and it's not so much that it's like I don't. It's you mentioned this a lot that it's all about the champion making the championship, and I don't think that this perspective of the high speed championship, like holding down Azumi, is as much of the truth as it is just like a place for Azumi if she's not doing anything else.
I'd offer a different perspective. The
Hmm.
perspective is that the high speed division exists solely for Azumi and to make her into something else because I think it's her belt and it always will be her belt.
Hmm.
Uh, unless she retires, then she probably should have taken it with her. But I think that it is. This is the very. I've had these discussions with other people about New Japan belts when IC belt existed,
Yeah.
uh, because it was the belt that was not the main belt, and it was to build people for the main belt. Because when Okada defeats you, you lose, and you need to win and you need to be presented strong and do the show closing promos, and you need to be a champion before you are able to challenge again. So this championship, this division exists to make Azumi. It helped made Starlight Kid, as we know. She would have been made without it even. But I think Azumi is so special and so specific a wrestler that she shines in her own space, and it makes cards, card construction, and shows better because there's this one specific thing that is hers, and she's really good at it, and I think it's really good.
No, I definitely could see
And
that.
talking about Starlight Kid being a challenger, I think it's fine because it's the first full circle thing. If Azumi defeats Starlight Kid here, she is the definitive ISP champion, and she can then lose the title next defense because she has done it all. She has had her defining run, and that's okay. She just needs to beat Starlight Kid. That's all.
I agree.
All right, that is the most any podcast will ever speak about Azumi for the next 9 months. So
Yes.
after this opener, it was announced that Stardom's next major show, the next major pay per view, will be Stardom All Star Grand Queendom 2023. It will be on April 23rd in the Yokohama Arena. So
What was that?
know,
30 years and 20 days after?
yes, yeah. So a lot of symbolic nature to running that venue when they did. Dream Slam was effectively that was the show that launched AJW into the next level with a lot of people. Because that was just this unbelievable, ever before seen crossover show with some of the biggest stars in Joshi. Coming together. Um, in the same venue, 30 years later, the same guy effectively running the show. Because I mean, Rossi was a big part of Slam and putting it together. And now he's kind of attempting to do something similar with Stardom because there's been all these reports that this April show they want to make this the biggest show in company history, right? Like Dave Meltzer was reporting that before. Today he followed up by saying that they are working with a lot of free agents and other companies to try and get them involved in this show. So it sounds
Namely, Sendai Girls is the
Sendai
one
Girls, yeah,
that is official.
they've already locked in Sendai Girls. Presumably, this is the Sasha Banks show. We all know she has one official date with Stardom. I would assume this is it. So they're working with others, and they're bringing in outsiders. Prominence are champions. Seven Up are champions. This feels like a real attempt to redo a Dream Slam to some degree. Like the Aussie attempting to make this show in April just like a women's wrestling all-star game of sorts. To do it in Yokohama Arena in April is just really cool to me as somebody who was a big fan of that era of AJW,
Yep.
and somebody who just is gonna, I'm just gonna love that show. Like it's so interesting that they can do so much. Yeah, it's great to see them, still being ambitious with the venues, and I just hope they do well at Yokohama Arena because it's a big ask.
Oh, 100%. It's a huge ask. Yeah, it's interesting. I kind of wonder like what the plan is, I suppose, for like a lot of this stuff, because like, you know, I wonder what they value kind of in like outsider, because like I'm thinking like, oh, my ideal card would be, sorry to bring up Azumi again, would be like Azumi Miyomomono on there. It would be Suzu Giulia or Suzu Saya, which Saya should not have the belt by then, honestly. So probably Suzu Giulia. Um, maybe F like like I kind of look at that and like what outsiders do they want to bring in? It'll be harder to get outsiders such as like TJPW, and I don't even know how that would mesh quite well if they did
Yeah,
look that direction.
and it's definitely not
Um,
happening. But
no, definitely
uh,
not. But like I do look at it like I wonder where, because like the quite frankly, the Joshi landscape is not as healthy as it was 30 years ago in terms of maybe not healthy, but you know, 30 years ago there was six companies and all of them were doing relatively well or were super new and were on their way to doing well. Whereas now it's a bit more saturated. There's fewer companies that are doing especially well, that have a lot of star power, and it's also Rossi likes to shit on any company that is not Stardom, so that's kind of funny to me. Uh, but I'm excited to see what he goes with. Obviously, like I said, that Mio Momono appearance is what I'm really banking on personally. That's what I really want. But I am interested to see what they do.
yeah, it's
Uh,
definitely one where like you could get away from yourself and book an insane card. But, like there's a chance that they're gonna bring together a lot of really cool names. Probably some international. I imagine this they'll want AEW involved in this, and that could be pretty cool. Maybe Jamie Hayter gets to come back over. Um, I don't know about WWE, probably not. But you're gonna have Sendai Girls. You're probably gonna have Marvelous. They might ask Yoshiko, although nobody really knows what's up with Yoshiko. Um, I mean, maybe some of the Diana crew, but even then, they don't have any like big stars. I mean, Kyoko Inoue is there, I guess, and Jaguar, but you know,
Uh,
they're all.
they might do another Rumble with like Chig in it, Kyoko in it, and
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
I
like
could
they
see
did with the
that.
anniversary.
Definitely see
Um,
that. Yeah, like a
I'd be cool with that.
Legends thing. That would be cool. Um, I'm kind of interested. Did they play? I assume they played this video in the venue, right?
they did play the video in the venue, yes.
Oh, like what were people like crazy, or was it kind of like, ah, cool, trip to Yokohama?
The issue is that that's the issue in all the Japanese venues is that the sound of the music is so loud you don't hear anything.
All right.
Like
Okay.
if you ever go to Kraken Hall and they play as I was Bon Jovi several times on the show, it's so fucking loud. And Momoka
They love
Hanazono's
their
theme
Bon
song
Jovi
is
over there. They love
yeah,
their
and
Bon Jovi.
Momoka Hanazono's theme is one of the most obnoxious music that I have ever heard in my life, and my ears are still hurt. So no, I'm not sure what the vocal reaction was to the music because, as I said, I just didn't hear any of it. I was listening to it for it, but like I think there was some like surprised gasps or like sounds of surprise and claps, but the music really drowned it all out. I'm sorry, I can't help you with that.
It's all right. That's okay. Now the next match on the card was a pre-triangle derby preview match. It was the Stars team Mayu Utani, Hanan, and Momokogo beating the Stars team of Hazuki, Koguma, and Saya Ida. Mayu obviously got the win with the Dragon Suplex. This felt like just a standard tag match. Like, seen a lot of tag matches like these as somebody who watches all the Stardom House shows.
Yeah.
Didn't fill me with any super joy. Um, uh, I felt like they could have made it interesting by leaning on Mayu not liking Momokogo anymore, but they just didn't. Like Mayu just won, and
They just had Hazuki beat the shit out of her.
yeah, that was kind of fun. Like the Kuma stuff was kind of fun, and then Kogo getting the shit kicked out of her was all right. But then yeah, they never really went anywhere beyond just a standard tag.
I mean, I think the issue is that they need to do it 50-50 because classmates are winning this match again in a couple weeks. Like they're
Yeah,
running it back and classmates are winning. So, like, I get why they didn't give too much away, but I thought that the action was all right. They're all good wrestlers. They all work well together. Who would have thought? So it was a good match, but I definitely get what you mean. They didn't really further anything. They just kind of well, they made it a teaser. You know what I mean? They did it as a prequel. So I get it, but it is a strange spot to put so many like talented, good people on the card. You know what I mean? Because like they didn't really do anything with it. because they didn't really have anything to do with it. So, yeah, I was upset that Mayu beat Ida because of course she did, because Ida, like, of course, classmates are like such like a natural trio, and they're like, nah, we starting you off with an L, even though it's not in the tournament. So, of course I'm sad about that, but it was good. It was a solid match, I would say.
Yeah, like it was
I
it was
am
fun.
I am glad that one of my favorite wrestlers won and beat the one of my least favorite wrestlers in Stars, and that's fine.
Piece
Uh,
of shit.
yeah, I know. But the match could have been 5 minutes shorter, and it would have done exactly what it did.
Yeah, I get that. They really could
Yes,
have just
definitely.
like ran through it and just pretend
It
like it didn't
it
exist.
it felt so long, needlessly so, for some reason. Like, why?
Do you got the time on it, Alex?
12 minutes.
Oh, that is a bit longer than
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah, I imagine live too, because there's not a lot of heat to it.
Yeah. It was like it was such a nothing match that it would have, if it would have been 8 minutes, it would have been fine and probably much better than this one.
I get that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Although our next match was not much of a change. It was another tag match. It was the return and demise of Pink Kabuki of Unagi Sayaka and Mina Shirakawa. And they beat Tekla and Mai Sakurai of DDM when Mina Shirakawa hit Tekla, I believe, with Glamorous Driver Mina.
Yes.
Yes.
So the important part here is that Mina made her way to the ring with new hair color, new haircut. Face obviously looked different considering her jaw was just like broken into 5 pieces like a month ago. Um, and she was flanked by her two teammates in the upcoming Triangle Derby, which are Zaya Brookside, a notable name to many people in Stardom. She was drafted by Stars in the last Stardom draft. Fun fact, and then left for the WWE. And she was joined by Maria May, who is a pretty inexperienced wrestler from the UK, but I know she's been all over the place. Like she wrestled in CZW and everything. Like she's been
Oh yeah,
traveling
she did.
around.
She did. I remember
So
seeing that.
I bit the bullet here. I watched some Maria May earlier today, and I watched
Mariah.
some. Yeah, well,
Get it
listen,
right, boy.
it's whatever. Just call me boy. That is the undertones of that is just I don't know that felt wrong. That felt
You're
racially motivated.
you're the white one. What are you talking about?
Still, it felt racially motivated. I like that. That felt that just felt like hurtful. I don't know, man. That there was something to that.
You
Anyway,
could. Never mind. Yeah.
um, so Zaya Brookside, I I was always kind of on the train of she would eventually be good. Um, I think the problem with Zaya is she came from a UK indie scene that prioritized really boring wrestling. Like women's wrestling when she was training and kind of work in the UK was you're gonna do like your technical stuff to show that you can do it like the guys, and then you're gonna take it home because we don't want to give you more than 8 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So I think she was always just boring because that was the style that she was told to do. Um,
Her
and
dad is also fucking uh what's it
that's
called?
Grapple fucker.
B Books
Yeah,
Brookside,
grapple
yeah.
fucker. Thank you.
So that didn't help. Like she was just the product of an indie scene that didn't prioritize women's wrestling. Um, there's not a lot of kind of matches to watch out there on her because she's only worked a few times this year since NXT shut down. Um, but she does
She
look
also
like
couldn't
she's.
leave the country because she was an anti-vaxxer. Let's not forget that.
It's true. Um, she does look like she's moved with the times. 'Cause I did watch a match with her in it, and definitely didn't rely as much on the technical stuff. Like she was like throwing forearms and playing up to her character and stuff like that. So I think the old Zaya is definitely evolved. I don't know if she's good, but I definitely don't think she's the same wrestler that we saw in Stardom last time, who was just, sadly doing what she was told largely, which was boring wrestling, right? Um, Now, May, I had never seen her before, just because, like, I'm not really into the UK indies that much anymore. Whereas obviously I used to attend shows all the time. She's got like I see the vision with her. Like I think she's got something. Um, she's one of those wrestlers who just gets it. You know, some wrestlers they're good workers from very early on. Other wrestlers get it, and she's one of those who she kind of reminds me of like Mai Sakurai when she first showed up, where she had all the intangibles, like she knew what to do, and it was just a case of getting that experience to bring the rest along. And I think she's like better than my Sakurai was at that point in her career as well. So with May, I think she will eventually impress. And I think if they keep a hold of her, they might have something in her down the road. But yeah, I think people were just like, oh great, two mid-white women are with Mina, and I was like, listen, man, this Maria May, she's got something. So yeah, I
So
don't
am I
know.
not allowed to do the mid-white woman chants?
Probably
Or
can't.
I
I think May is gonna impress.
I've
She's
heard good things. I've heard good things.
Mm.
Obviously, when they first came out, they were the whitest women that
Yes.
I've perhaps ever seen
Yeah.
in Joshi wrestling. And I've seen Medusa. That's saying something. Let's
That's
be real.
that's
Um,
true. That they are the
like
brightest I've ever seen.
aggressively white.
They were they
Aggressively
were
white.
shining, right?
They were shining. Yes, they were. Like no disrespect to them. I'm not the whitest, but uh, I I feel like this entire thing made me a bit concerned about Mina, including her performance in the match. I thought was kind of underwhelming.
Really?
Um,
Oh,
I,
okay.
yeah, I was not. I thought that was like a lot of. Yeah, I'm concerned about the
Nah, man. She was
Mina
throwing
return.
combos. That shit was badass. She was kicking the shit out of people. Her and Tekla ran it back. I
She,
was I was here for it.
her and Tekla did get into some good stuff, but a lot of it was just kind of. It felt like her selling was off a bit for whatever
Well,
reason.
she has a new
Um,
face.
The
that is true.
I think I'm not sure if I liked that they made the face selling a thing in this match. I get it,
Mm.
I understand it, but selling, I hope she will not continue sell her face in matches to come.
Yeah, I hope that's not the
Maybe,
entire thing.
maybe, yeah, because if it is, that will suck so much. Especially if she is to be considered a leader of a faction, she should not be, or rather, a team at least. She should not be selling as much. And to add what Alex said about Mariah May, I just really hope that she is very petty, and I hope she has some spite in her, and it fuels her attempt
Jesus
to be
Christ.
as good as possible to show them, the people she left there,
Yeah,
that she is better than them.
fuck the Brits. That's what
So
he's getting at.
there is
Fuck the
that.
That is.
I will laugh. They showed it Friday. I love that shit.
Brits.
Yeah, and Mariah May getting over in Stardom to own the Brits. That's what we need. Um,
That's the move.
Oh,
the thing with May.
you have seen the latest explosion where she was like the butt of the
Oh
jokes
yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that.
during
Oh
the
yeah,
list.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
stupid
So I need her
wrestler.
to prove
Well,
that she's better
yeah,
than them.
she probably is. It's not that hard.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
be
she
real.
is. Like she
I
wrestled
watched Tag
She
League.
wrestled Zoe Sky. And Zoe Sky is obviously a Stardom alumni. And Zoe Sky fit in really relatively well with Stardom. Like she was very at home there. Um, I think May like hung really well with Zoe Sky. So that's a good sign.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
That's
So
really good to hear.
I think there is something with May. Like I think she gets presenting herself as a star and kind of all that, which is always good to see anyway. But I think her in ring isn't that far behind. So I'm excited to see what she can do. Um, yeah, the match was I enjoyed what Mina and Tekla did, but otherwise I didn't. It wasn't that great. Um, and I think ultimately Unagi's is better outside of Stardom. I'm okay with that. I think I've come to terms with that. Like she's just
Yeah, and
way more interesting.
I think them killing Pinkabuki was kind of the end of that. Because,
Yeah.
like, her best stuff was probably with Mina,
Mhm.
especially in terms of teamwork stuff. her best work in Stardom. Let me preface. She had some good
Hmm.
single stuff, but it was definitely like her and Tam were all right. Her and Walk, I don't know. Cosmic Angels is dead. I don't give a fuck.
Mhm.
Um, I thought her and Mina had some good stuff, and they were growing a lot. So I think with this, uh, which is also a bad turn. Let me. I know it doesn't need to be said, but god damn is Stardom bad at fucking like politics, like in ring politics. I mean, like kayfabe politics. It is always super lame. Um, Terrible turn by everybody involved here. But in terms of just the actual aftermath, like what it comes out to, Unagi is definitely uh, leaning outside of Stardom, right? Like
Yeah, like
she doesn't
this
have a lot to hang on to here.
this never felt like they're setting up for a rivalry. This felt like, Pinkabuki is over, Unagi is gone, right? Because Unagi was like crying on her way down the tunnel as well when she was
Yeah,
leaving. So, I'm not saying she's gone from Stardom, but I think this was maybe them and her kind of saying, okay, look, we're just gonna
especially
stick with this
because
part-time thing.
the turn, they're both still in Cosmic Angels. Like Mina is
Yeah,
insistent that she is still in Cosmic Angels.
for now, she did kind of throw that
Yes.
in.
But she did not second Tam and Boy,
That's
but
true.
Unagi did.
Mm.
Yeah. Also,
Unagi did second.
Waka did defend Unagi. She stopped her from getting hit.
Yeah. And Unagi was there watching the whole show when she was not seconding. She was watching the whole show at one of the entrances.
Student
So
of the game, bro.
uh,
Student of the game.
I think she was possibly not in the same locker room as the others. So maybe she wanted to be closer to her match table or something like that. But she was there during the main event. She was watching the main event from
One more
Unagi is pretty
thing.
notorious for that, actually. She always,
Yeah.
I follow some Unagi fans, and like she always like finds a spot to just sit and like watch the wrestling. She's clearly like a big fan, which is really nice.
One
so
thing.
that was what I noticed as well.
Oh, one thing is that I know I don't have to pontificate too much, but was Mina what? Why? Why did they go this way?
Okay, so with Mina, um, so for anybody who doesn't know, her, Mariah, and Zaya are like a mini unit known as Club Venus.
Love Venus.
Mina, so Mina got on the microphone and was kind of asking. He was saying like, why did you leave Unagi? Like, why didn't you say anything? Why did you leave? Where were you when I got hurt? And she like threw some forearms at Unagi and was kind of like, look, we're over. This thing is over. I've got new friends. So, um, it seems like her beef was more so with Unagi than Cosmic Angels. Um, this is just her getting a mini unit, maybe just for the derby, maybe just until they do whatever it is they're doing with Meltier is over. Because I just don't see Mina Shirakawa getting her own faction, right? Like, I don't think they see her like that. Because, you look at the other faction leaders, Utami, right? Won every belt under the sun. Mayu, the icon of the company. Giulia, current world champion. Syuri, basically the new EO. Tam, a white belt champion, former like tag league winner, former tag champion. Yes, former tag champion. Very well pushed. Uh, you compare that to Mina, who has won the future of Stardom belt for like 2 weeks and the artist belts. Like I don't see her as a faction leader, and I'm not sure they do either. Um, this might just be something to do to protect her while they're doing whatever they're doing with Meltier and Waka. But I really don't know. Like, it is quite confusing because
See, I think my view of Mina has changed completely from this show. Um, she was all over the show. I mean, if you want to name a singular person who became way more notable that is not Giulia from this show, it is Mina. She was all over this fucking thing. Like if you want to talk about one singular person that is not Giulia, it's Mina, and that is concerning for many reasons. Um, to me at least. But that's a conversation we can get to after the white belt match,
Yeah.
more so. But I am. Also, I don't know how long Zaya Brookside and Mariah May are staying in Japan. It's not like these are the first foreigners outside of Alpha Female that they have gotten over.
Hmm.
So I doubt they have year-long visas. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like
yeah.
it took Jamie Hayter like 4 tours before she could get a 6 month, and then it extended to a year. You know what I mean? So I imagine they're a bit. They're probably she's probably not immediately starting a faction or whatever. But I am a bit. It's out of left field in the way that they did it, in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
I get the intention, but it's a very strange way to create it, I guess. It was very
Yeah.
it feels like they didn't put a lot of thought into it.
Well, I mean, obviously,
I
it's
think
it's Rossi.
I,
Like,
I,
Yeah.
I think it's just the necessity. They want it and they need it. They wanted foreigners to come back, to offer fresh matchups, to offer fresh matches, to offer fresh wrestlers, and they wanted a landing spot for them. And the Cosmic Angels is the best landing spot for any foreigner who is not a heel and is not joining the Oedo Tai. I think it's much better than Stars currently because Stars already have 3 younger wrestlers who are able to take pins, and the unit is big enough and it feels like the babyface homegrown unit. Oedo Tai are for heels. The other landing spot for them would be Donna Del Mondo, but Donna Del Mondo right now feels like a tight unit, which does not have any openings.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like any of these 2 women landing in Donna Del Mondo? That
Mariah
makes
May.
no sense.
I could see Mariah
Uh,
fucking
yes,
it up,
yes,
and
but
I could see that.
but y- but you have to think further down the road because Mariah May maybe never comes back,
No,
and
that's
then you
true.
have another one. If you have something called Club Venus, which is Mina Shirakawa and her collection of mid-white women, or whatever,
No, go
of
on, you got it.
random foreigners, it makes sense because Cosmic Angel's identity is not really clearly defined like it is for other units right now. And I think it's the opening. And she speaks English. She's able to help them, and she wants to travel. And so it's much better than giving them to Mayu. Like imagine if you give poor Mariah May to Mayu, what's Mayu going to do with her? Like Mina is much better. I I don't. We will see if she is going to like create her own unit, real unit. We will see that on January the 9th because they are facing against Tam, Boy, and Saki.
Yeah, that's true. Their first 2 matches, I'm pretty sure, are against Cosmic Angels because their first match is
Yes.
against Lollipop or whatever. Which is really fucked up. That like Mina was like, "Hey Waka, I'm gonna help you because I think that you deserve to be in Cosmic Angels, and I love you." And then she's like, "Now I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you with my 2 white friends." Like that's crazy. But I guess it happens sometimes. No, I don't think that happens sometimes. I think that's especially bad. Um, in terms of care, I think the Cosmic Angels are just terrible people, and Waka deserves better. That's my take on Club Venus. So thank you.
okay, I do have one quick question. When Mina made her entrance, it sounded like she got like an audible reaction. Was that a
Yeah.
thing, or was I
Yeah.
imagining it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It
She
was.
mentioned it on Twitter.
Yeah. It was really loud. I actually think it was one of the loudest reactions for an entrance on the whole show.
Oh.
That's dope.
And people around me did not know Zaya Brookside,
Hmm.
which is one more,
Lucky
which
them.
is one more like, yeah, one more proof that current Stardom fans don't know the old Stardom.
I just didn't like her, which I mean, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, like she tagged with Starlight Kid, and Starlight Kid was what 16, and she like completely outpaced her at all times.
Yeah,
So that was
yeah.
great.
Anyway, that match. The next one was a Goddess of Stardom #1 contenders match. It was Maihime beating BMI 2000 and the New Eras in 10 minutes. Maika pinned Rocca with a Michinoku driver to get the win. So I mean, this was a cool tag match. Like, oh look, the three teams are pretty badass. They got 10 minutes, just did shit, right? What was kind of weird was Maihime winning, because see, Dylan and I thought that since
They were
Meltier,
gonna save it.
since like Meltier drew with BMI 2000, he'd run that back for the titles, but instead, obviously Meltier are no longer champions, and instead Maihime are probably the best team in the division, are just the first challenger fodder for 7-Up, which is a great place
Fucked.
for them. Like, it's so, I don't know, it's such a weird use of a great tag team. This match was cool. Like, I mean, if they, if they want to keep a stricter tag division, then teams like these are good to have around. Yeah, I don't really know what the direction is for Mahime. Although they've clearly pushed Micah up ahead of Himeka lately. Because they were always like fluctuating, a pair. Because it was always, DDM was always Giulia 1, Syuri 2, and then Micah and
Micah
Himeka.
Hameka.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
recently they've really kind of pushed Micah to the forefront here. Like,
I mean, they've done that quite a lot over the
yeah.
years, but it was mainly just because of a lack of competition. Like
Mm.
Himeka just wouldn't really do much. She never really challenged for a belt. She was always just she was always voluntarily in the background. And I
Yeah.
feel like now they're both relatively at the same pace of action, and Micah is succeeding more. Maybe not even succeeding, but is the, you know, stronger one. So it's always kind of been that way, but it was always just a case of like, oh well, Micah is just more active. She challenges more. She has more stronger feuds against people. She has better wins. Like all that stuff. That's because Himeka didn't really do shit, and then Himeka started doing shit, and everybody was like, okay, Micah's still the leader of this duo. So, but I get what you're saying. I could definitely see it as well.
Yeah.
I I do have an issue with that because I think if Himeka was speaking on microphone more, we'd probably see a shift in this because I think she is much better in the acting part of the wrestling than Micah.
I could see that.
I think her prom. That's why I want her to join I. I think her promo style is
I don't agree with that. Goddamn.
yeah. I got it. I think she would be able to deliver great, threatening, evil promo with her voice and with her delivery. I'd really like her to change stuff up, but not soon enough, especially because the Del Mundo, as I said, seem much more tight unit right now. So, like, tearing them apart right now or even in near future would be a big mistake.
Fair. I know Alex doesn't like giving Himeka credit for anything, so you don't have to comment on it.
Yeah, of course. He is Himeka hater, anti Himeka. Of course he is. Anti Jumbo.
Well,
Shouts out Jumbo.
it's not my fault she like shit the bed in her big title matches this year. Like, I don't know. What can I do about that?
Yeah, they were both pretty weak. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I feel like everything else she's done has been really fun though.
Yeah, one was built on less than 48-hour notice. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean,
And the other one was a Shuri match she was never going to thrive in. Like just looking back at it, I feel like that was not her match to do good in. But it's okay. We have a lot to talk about. We don't have to get into the Himeka debate.
So the next match on the card was a 15-minute time limit draw between Kairi and Utami Hayashishita. This was just a brief taste of what they can do, because I mean this is obviously a match that you're gonna do down the line for the IWGP Women's Championship. So don't know. I guess they had other plans to run this match on this show, and then we're like, we might as well do it anyway. And then just decided to do just a quick draw to keep them both fresh, but also giving people kind of a nice view of what their eventual match could be. What really stands out to me, or what stood out when I watched this, was like in the space of a year from dropping the red belts to now, Utami has improved so much in just her all
A lot of people have
around.
been saying that.
Yeah, like it's just really interesting because I feel like 2022 has just allowed her to try more stuff and get a feel for herself a little bit more, and she's just a lot more at home now and knows what works and what works for her. Um, I think that was really eminent here, where I mean, she went in there with Kyrie, and the thing with Kyrie is she gives her opponents all the room possible to showcase themselves, and I think Utami took that and ran with it quite well.
Now, Alex, you know that the thing I hate doing most is saying "I told you so." Um, But I fucking told everybody. I swear to God. Like everybody was like, "Oh well, Utami just seems good on these on these smaller shows and in this 5 star because like she hasn't had to do like the big match stuff and she and like yeah this was 15 minutes." But I will say I was the first motherfucker to be like, "Nah, she's like infinitely better right now than like she was a year ago, and she is incredible and she is going to be like the second that they give her a rope, she's going to take it and she's gonna fucking climb up the wall." And I've been saying that for months, and people see this match and they're like, "Oh yeah, I think Utami is infinitely better than she was a year ago." I've been saying that. I've been saying that. It's crazy. I hate saying it,
It's
but I told
crazy.
you so.
It's it's crazy how you can just give someone who you know is very creative person and is pretty good at what they do a space for them to get better outside of the spotlight, and they just
Yeah.
do because they want to get better. And it was one of the things that why I'm not mad at the real feud between Momo Watanabe and Utami Hayashishita, that we never got the big match, the big blow off, because that's fine. They decided to be kept. Rossi decided to keep them apart, so we will get that down the line in future, and will be much better than if we already gotten that before. So like it's fine. Let the champions cool down. Let them try different things. Let them have fun. Let them provide their star power to the tiny house shows, and then like you can hit them up pretty quickly, which is what Stardom does very often.
Yeah. Uh, Utami's great. Utami's future goat. Straight up. I've been saying it. I'll continue saying it. Um, as for the match, I think Kyrie's blue gear, clean as hell. Like absolutely, like I loved it. I don't know why. I don't know what it was about it. It just looked so fucking crisp. Great gear. Um, Miyu Amasaki, a real standout here, because I didn't know that seconds were allowed to just stop wrestlers from doing moves, and I found that
They are
really
not.
fucking funny. Like that was hilarious that she's like, "Nah, I ain't gonna let you do that." It's like, what the fuck do you mean? Why haven't you done this for every Oedo time match? What are you doing? Um,
It's
and
because
yeah,
the air quote story arc for Kyrie is that she went through whole Queen's Quest and finished the year with Utami. So and Miu was one of
yeah,
the
she
people
she has been
she beat up.
she has been feuding with Queen's Quest. That's interesting
Yeah,
when you think about it. That's like one of the most clear
because
feuds of the year that they haven't even mentioned.
yeah, because she's not there too often. So like she's been with she. Imagine if she won the white belt. And
Yeah,
this match would have been for the white belt. It would have made the whole all the sense in the world, and it would have been clear story running through the whole year.
yeah. No, I totally agree. And then Kyrie no sold the hijack bomb. So Tommy, please get a new finisher. I am begging you. Please stop. Okay. Yeah, and now we're good.
All
That
right.
was that match. Good match.
Okay.
I want more though. I was like, damn, I like this is not enough. Give me more.
Well,
Because you could just sense that they were like holding out, and I was like, I want more. So
you're
good.
in luck because I mean they're gonna redo it. That's
Oh,
for sure.
100%.
Um, to Velkej again. How well do these two come across in the venue? Because I mean, we all knew Tommy's like mega star, and so is Kyrie. Like, does that come across when you're there?
Okay. I was cheating. I decided to run to get the coffee.
Okay.
When Utami
Before this
started,
match?
when Utami started her entrance, I was like, "Oh, they will be doing their entrances for like 10 minutes. I can go
my
grab a coffee." So I ran through the whole venue because all vending machines have been sold out. Only one at the end of the venue was still had hot coffee in it. So I bought the hot coffee, came back, and Kairi was in the middle of her entrance. So I missed Utami's entrance. But what I will say that when the match was ending, the people around me bought the hijack bomb.
That's dope.
It was yeah. They bought the hijack bomb, and when Kairi rolled through the ropes out to the outside, it was like there were disappointing sounds around me.
People want to see Utami get the dub.
Yes, they
Utami's the girl.
they do.
Utami's that girl.
They do. It was it was really interesting to at least my section because as I said, the venue it's basically vertical, so you do not hear too many people on your left or on your right side from the other sections. You hear the people just around you because how the venue is built.
Mhm.
So listening to the crowd and what they were clapping for, what they were reacting to, the obviously the homegrown people, the people who these fans have the biggest connection to, were receiving the biggest reactions. But when Utami picked Kairi up and then dropped her for a hijack bomb, there were like, as I said, gasps and vocal reactions, and then the disappointed vocal reactions when Kairi rolled through and got to the elbow. So like they wanted Utami to win this match a lot.
I can't believe you left during the one match that they were like, "Hey, pay attention to the entrances for this one," and you
Yeah,
left.
I know, but
That's
but
crazy.
there was the intermission was after this match, wasn't it? And
Yeah, it was.
I knew
You had one job. Okay, you had one job. This is
Like
disgraceful.
this was the entrance match, Velkej. That's crazy.
yeah, but I'll be honest to you, I needed a coffee. If I didn't get the coffee, I would have fallen asleep in the next match, like
And that's
literally.
respectful. You can't be
Yeah,
falling asleep in Sumo
dying.
Hall.
I was dying from jet lag because and we went for beers beforehand, so like I was three
Oh
or
my
four
God.
beers deep, and I needed coffee.
Fucking Velkej, man.
Wow. All right.
Um,
Well,
a man from Czech Republic is enjoying his holiday in Japan. So
that's valid. Anyway, the next match on the show then was the prominence team of Hiragi Kurumi, Suzu Suzuki, and Risa Sera beating Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, and Saki Kashima to become the new Artist of Stardom champions. Suzu got the win over Saki Kashima with a German suplex in 16 minutes. So Starlight Kid, because she is her, had a bike to use as a weapon and
oh,
was taunting Suzu with the Chirin Chirin stuff, which for people who don't know, when Suzu first debuted before becoming a deathmatch weird girl, she was the bicycle girl in Ice Ribbon because her debut had to get delayed because I think she got hurt riding a bike. So her gimmick for the first while in Ice Ribbon was she would yell "Chirin Chirin" at people and spear them and stuff. It was very good.
You know what's wild is I totally forgot that was the same person until like very recently,
Oh my god.
until like a few days ago. Like, cause like I knew the bicycle girl from Ice Ribbon. I knew that story, and I know who the fuck Suzu Suzuki is,
Hmm.
but I did not connect the dots at all until like this match.
That was incredible.
Yeah,
You were incredible.
cause like Darren kept saying Drid Drid. I was like, wait, it, really? And then I remember I was like, oh shit, that's crazy.
Where did you think she went? What did you think happened to Bicycle Girl?
I don't know. There are plenty of like meme wrestlers, not meme wrestlers. I don't want to say it like that, but like whatever happened to Golden Karen?
She never even debuted. She was just a Twitter
Exactly.
thing.
That's what I mean. Like
She
that
is
just fucking happened.
literally a meme wrestler. She is literally a meme wrestler. She is definition of a meme wrestler.
Yeah.
She
She
is
is
just
the
a
meme
meme.
wrestler. Yes. She's not even a wrestler, just a meme. That's exactly like I don't fucking know. Like what like what's gonna happen to Risa Farah? Like what if she just never comes back and she's just forever just not Risa Sarah? Like that's her entire gimmick is not Risa Sarah. Like
And
She's very tall. That's enough.
yeah, and she's tall.
you leave Risa Fella out of this, man. She's
Oh no, I think she's dope, but like you know what I mean. Like there are plenty of like wrestlers who only exist in the internet for me. You know what I mean?
that's fair. Alright. Well, what did you think of this match, Dylan?
I thought this was fun. I think the like you have problems with like the plunder matches in Stardom because they're kind of uh I don't know, they never really go far enough, I guess. And not even like they have to go further, but like just small things like Suzu, like they didn't do any chair shots to anywhere but the back.
Mm.
And I was like, that's really lame. Like Suzu had to like turn her head. And I was just like, oh, you could tell that that's just like not how she naturally does it. Like like there were just certain flow things about that weren't really crazy. That I wasn't crazy about, but like the spots were great. I think prominence are like some of the most innovative and like creative deathmatch wrestlers that aren't named Jun Kasai. You know what I mean? Like I think they are incredibly smart and really I don't know, just creative with it. So I enjoyed a lot of the spots. Um Momo Momo got fucked so bad with the kendo stick that she was like, you know, because she did the bat and the kendo stick thing, and then the bat goes flying, and Momo's like, okay, I brought another bat. She brings out a barbed wire bat, and I was like, God damn, Momo, that's crazy. Shouldn't use it much, but I thought that was cool. And yeah, Saki Kashima did not do shit for the first like 90% of the match. Then she got fucking fire thunder drivered through a table from the top rope. 'Cause she's a fucked fucker. Like that was crazy. Um, and then Risa Sarah spent half the match building up a tower of chairs that got knocked down off camera.
That's so funny.
It
Yeah.
was super funny. It was super funny
Was
because
the spot cool?
uh,
Because I didn't see it.
I no, it was just pushed over.
Oh my
It
god.
just fell down randomly on accident. I think. I
That's
think it
pretty
was not supposed. I think someone was supposed to dive through it, and it never happened because it fell down. So they scrapped the spot because she was building it for
Oh yeah.
so long, and then it just fell down.
This does
And it
actually
was like
heartbreaking.
I I was like looking at her building the pyramid of chairs, and I was thinking, okay, so what's going to happen with this chair? Are we going to do the dumb let's run the bike into the pyramid of chairs and the chairs fall down on us, or are we going to throw someone into it, or what is going to happen? And then it just fell down because I think someone was
Somebody
fighting
said
around it or
Momo.
something
Yeah,
like that.
someone said Momo kind of went into it and then it fell down.
Yeah, yeah. Something like that. I think it was just before this plan spot was supposed to go on, so they decided to not to rebuild the pyramid and to just to just move on because it was ruined already and it didn't have uh it did not matter anymore. Um, on account of the reactions, one woman who was sitting just one row below me to my right was really invested in Oedotai and was buying into them suffering, so that was good. And otherwise, as I said, if I didn't get a coffee, I would have fell asleep because this match was not for me. And even though I love the Oedotai team and I'm sad that they lost, but I really much enjoyed the match if it was just straight chaos match then because I think the combination would have been much more fun. But at least Risa Sera got revenge on Saki Kashima for uh revivaling her in the 5-star. And by the way, Revival. There was the one bright spot of the match.
That was clean.
Whole arena bought
That was
whole
pop.
arena bought it as a finish. Like that was a finish. That if that finished the match, people would have audibly exploded. I think
I
because
think that's the sorry for interrupting. I think that's the beauty of the trio, right? I think I haven't been a fan of the Oedo Tai that much as a lot of other people, but I think the beauty is that in these artist matches, there's always a hanger, right? There's always an anchor. So like when Prominence loses the belts, it's gonna be Kurumi. She's gonna be the one
yes,
taking the fall. With Saki, like, and you're gonna notice when she is left out to dry, eventually, that it's like, okay, this is the finishing pair. Kurumi's gonna take the fall to X wrestler, right? With Saki, that's never the case because she's the one who's going to take the fall at the end of the day, but she's also the one who who wins most of the falls for the team. So you never quite know what's coming, right? Because like, there's no way Kid's gonna get pinned for the belt. Like, it's going to be Saki, but Saki's also gonna be the one that's fucking pinning everybody, regardless of who she's wrestling. So I think that was one great thing is that Saki Hashima's like her her, the revival was just a great move, and it made this entire reign really really well done because it kind of turned that formula of an artist match on its head. So yeah, I can imagine that it was a big pop from the arena.
yeah. It was the arena, as I said, audibly reacted when she did her first revival. It's so good. So the belt for her, for this one singular move, for this one singular wrestler in this bloody company is it's been so good, so great. I think she's the best booked wrestler in the company. Literally is.
Long live
That's a
Like
Saki
wild.
for what she does and for what she's supposed to be, she's like perfect.
Yeah, but Suzuki better,
No,
and she has a belt
no.
now. So
Listen, long live Saki. Not that Saki though.
I agree with Alex. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
Saki.
not that Saki. Anyway, that was that match. Presumably, Prominence will hold these belts until they lose to whoever wins Triangle Derby or whatever they do there. Now, the next match on the show was the Goddess of Stardom Championship match. The team of Yu and Nanai Takahashi beat Meltier when Yu hit the last ride on Natsupoi in 16 minutes to win the tag belts. So, lot.
Can I jump in the front of the line? I'm sorry.
go right ahead.
When that finish happened, me and two other people who I was with, we were high fiving.
As you should, yeah. I mean,
We were so happy.
Oh, this was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
biggest pop of the night for me, like
The,
100%.
the seedling faction, the seedling cheering faction successfully won. One of the people I was with were the Sari Yoshiko hoodie, the seedling face mask, and Nana t-shirt with Nana
That's great.
cheering blanket. Great. It was so
Okay,
good for
okay.
us.
How long have you been out in Japan now?
3 days, 4
In
days.
in just 3 4 days, you have seen you win 2 championships in person.
Yes,
That is
yes.
beautiful.
So good, so
That
good,
is a
so
wonderful
good.
way to spend your holiday.
well,
That is great.
he also got to see Natsupoi get plastered through the ring, which
That
is
dude, that was crazy,
because
dude.
here's the
It
thing.
was nice.
Meltier made themselves heels when they like were mean to Waka. And I was like, I
Yeah,
hope you squishes Tom like a bug. And then Nanai was like, hold it, I'm gonna smack the shit out of this woman. So I got to see Meltier get
deserved.
destroyed physically, just
Yeah,
days after they were mean to Waka. So this was perfect. I know NSA were meant to be heels and whatever, but like they're baby faces now. Now the match was great. I thought this was great.
very
Like,
good.
not only was it really
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
there was like really fun tag team action, but then when it wasn't a tag match, it was physical as hell. Like as I said, it was Nanai and Tam slapping the shit out of each other. It was you and Natsupoi trading forearms and chops. Yu is just on a crazy run in Stardom. Every time she gets to do anything, it's fantastic. And the finishing stretch with her and Natsupoi was really really good. Her last ride finisher looks amazing. She plows these people through the ring without mercy. It is amazing.
And Daichi sat on it too.
Yeah.
Like that was the beauty of it, was that Daichi just like kind of looked at Poi and was like, "Is this bitch alive?" And then he counted, and it was just like, damn, like, because the thing is that they, and I said this, I was talking to Scott about it a little bit yesterday, on his show, but they aren't gonna pin you,
Yeah.
right? Similar to how I said that they aren't gonna pin SLK, they aren't gonna pin Suzu for the artist match, they aren't gonna pin you here, right? And when I started noticing that you was beating the fuck out of Natsupoi, I was like, I don't think Natsupoi's rolling her up. I
Mhm.
don't think that's where we're going with this. And I was like, what are they gonna do? And then you just kept bludgeoning her, and then hit the last ride, and I was like, oh fuck, we're here now. Are they gonna do? And then I yelped, like I yelped at fucking 4 in the morning, like I yelped in my chair. I jumped on my chair. I was like, oh my god, like it was great. Obviously, I'm a big 7 Up supporter. I'm a big Nanai guy. Nanaiism passion lives forever. And obviously, you've been having an absurd year. One of the best women's wrestlers of the year, in my opinion. Um, it 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 was just incredible. The match was great. I would say that the first couple minutes I wasn't too fond of. I think it was Nanai and Natsupoi. It felt very heavy-handed. It felt very like, okay, when are we gonna get to like the actual like substance,
Mm.
instead of just Nanai kind of like toying with Natsupoi for a bit. But then as soon as like Nanai and Tam locked up, it really just like hit like a seventh gear and was just going from there. Um, and I also said this yesterday. You is just a different animal in these late
Yes.
stages, right? Like if you get her in there for the last like 5 minutes of a tag match, you're gonna get a good match. Like it's just going to happen. Um,
She is
really good
such a
stuff.
different. She is such a different wrestler that had her first bigger title match against Ryo Mizunami in Seedling last year,
Yeah.
year and a half ago. That was like the breaking point for me because that was her first big test, and I thought she failed the test. But she has discovered what she's been doing. She has been doing wrong, and she has corrected everything she's been doing wrong. And she is now, as you said, one of the best wrestlers, women wrestlers in the world right now. And I
Well,
really think that. And I'm really not sure about her single stuff, but her tag runs, her tag stuff with anyone, with literally anyone, she is the always the best part of all the tag matches. It's incredible, and I hope they do not lose the titles anytime soon because I am really enjoying that this run. Really,
they're losing them
it's
at World Climax, or not World Climax, whatever that.
yeah, I know, I
Yeah.
know, but still, I can hope.
You can. Now we do have to keep things a bit brief because we're almost at like we're going a bit long.
Yes.
I do have to ask. Okay, what is Double Frontier like in person? Like, what's that experience of seeing them do the whole shtick?
Is it more or less like cringe?
Uh, You mean how I was trying to boo under my breath
Mm.
and do the down fingers, down thumbs because I'm an asshole? No, it's in the big arena. It's spectacular. It's like the colors, the music, the choreography works in big arena. It sucks in the small arena,
Mhm.
and it's it's like they are. The costumes, like their entrance gear, is perfect for them. I think that the person who did the gear did them uh s- made them look like stars, and they if they stopped doing the bloody choreography in the small venues, it would be much better. I don't like the song personally, but I think
It's wild.
it works for them so well and makes them so hateable for me.
Valid.
Well, I don't hate them, but I understand.
I do.
I don't know how people hate the song. I think it's like
It's a great
one
song.
of the better
Yeah,
songs
it's pretty good.
in the company.
I don't like it. I just don't. It's like the whole thing about them is too sugary for me. It's just too much,
Okay.
and like,
They are too much.
but
I think that's the best way to say
yeah,
it. They are
yeah,
just too much.
yeah, they are too much. But like that, it works for them, and it works for these two perfectly.
All right. Now our next match on the show was a Wonder of Stardom Championship match. It was Saya Kamatani beating Haruka Umesaki with a Frankensteiner in 16 minutes. I mean, it took them a little while to really get working together. They did some very strange stuff at the start. And I think somebody was saying that like Umesaki got like clocked from the apron bump at the very start. So
I believe it.
it took them a while to get into it. But I enjoyed the meat of the match. It was enjoyable. I the finish was so strange. Like it just ended out of nowhere, but also
Saya's
like
done that a couple times.
yeah. But do you need to do a flash pin on somebody that you've presented as like a
Didn't she
nothing
flash pin
geek?
Saki? Or
Maybe
she flash pin somebody
I
who
don't know.
like really doesn't matter?
Himeka,
Yeah, she flash
Himeka,
pin Himeka.
Well, yeah. I mean,
after she
Himeka's kind
kicked
of
out of the
well.
concussion bomb.
Himeka matters more than Umasaki in the storylines. Like they've made Umasaki into nothing more than
I
his
think
pet, and yet
yes.
Saya needed a flash pin to beat her. It was just a strange.
I don't think it's a need. I think it's just like a way to beat. I mean, I think it's more Marufuji than it is who's a fucking lame person who uses a roll up. It's more of a Marufuji than a Yo. No offense to Yo, but like it's not so much of like a necessity. It's more so just like, oh well, I went for the Firebird. I don't feel like going back up on the top rope. I'll just roll her up. Fuck
I
it. Like I
yeah.
think it's that more so than it is
I,
anything else. And
I
it's like outworking her because it's not like it's like this like intricate roll up. Like that is just her simply being better by being able to
I
just hit a Hurricane Rana and beat you.
I think it works for this show, because the splash is just a small house finisher. So I was not expecting Umesaki to be. She was not hit by the move anyway. But if Saya had hit it, she would not have pinned her with the move. So, and I think it's better that she does not do finish splash until she faces Mina for the belt again. So I expect her to finish the next challenger with the Frankensteiner as well.
Yeah, so can we talk about how fucked the white belt is?
Yeah, no, I mean
Very.
it's going in some weird directions. I kind of wanted to just double check. Velkej, were people just did they not care about this match live? Like, was it as cold as we
Completely
expected?
dead.
Completely dead.
Yes,
Okay,
completely dead.
all right.
There was after the apron bump and then the weird Saya move, whatever. Like
Mhm.
from my angle, she
It
flipped and
looks
hit
exactly what you think it is. Yeah.
Umesaki on the head with her hands.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay. I was not just
She was
imagining it.
trying to get Umasaki to back up. You could see her like putting her hand out to like
Okay,
back up a bit, and Umasaki just wasn't reading her at all.
yeah. And then she just
She just
okay.
did the exact same thing
After
that she was planning on doing.
yeah,
She's like, "Fuck it."
yeah. Saya style. Of course, after that, the mid part of the oh, uh, I will offer a thing about the star power. Umisaki had none,
Yeah, no, that's fair.
That's tough.
like none.
Yeah.
She did not project it to outside of maybe front seats. She felt like a whole when she entered the arena compared to especially before we had Meltier, we had Nanai and you who both felt huge, and then we had Saya coming just after her. So like it was very stark. And then during the match, the crowd was silent.
Yeah.
There was polite clapping for some of the stuff. There were like few lonely people trying to get some other people to clap along, but they just fell silent when either Saya or Umesaki tried to start crowd up. We clapped for a little while, then we died down. It was so sad. It was so bad and so sad. And Alex, please go with the direction probably.
All right. Yeah, I mean, Stardom made its own bed there with the poor presentation of Umasaki.
I think the interesting thing about Umasaki is that it's like they put someone who doesn't have big spots against the most spotty wrestler. And like I didn't realize that until like it like kind of like the match set in that I was like, Umasaki doesn't really have like these big moves to combat Saya's big moves that will like pop the crowd. Like she does like drop
Yeah.
kicks. She's a very fundamentalist wrestler, right? And that works sometimes. I mean, Dynamite and Sai, outside of her top two moves, super fundamentalist, and I loved a lot of her matches. She's great, but in this sort of situation where it's like you need to really show yourself, it's a real showcase. You're being put on a stage way bigger than you've ever been on before, and you really need to like live up to the expectations. They really chose the strangest wrestler uh combination, right? Because it's like Sai Kamatani does every move you've ever seen, and Haruka Umesaki does four moves, and she does them well. Don't get me wrong, she does them well, but it's just a strange matchup to make from Stardom's part. I thought the match was really good. I was a fan of it, but really strange
Definitely.
decision overall, and the white
If I
belt's entire direction is strange.
if I was a conspiracy nut, I'd say that this match was the assassination of Umesaki. Like
Jeez.
I cannot imagine like seeing her unless they rehabilitate her or she really just turns karma.
Yeah,
Like
there's no way that this is worse than Karma. I'm gonna be real. Like that's just a that's a
yeah,
spicy
of
take.
course it's not worse than karma. Karma is the worst shit ever. But like if this was like if I was reading too much into stuff, I'd say this was attempt to assassinate her, like to make her not viable wrestler in at least next 2 years, as like to to challenge for anything
Yeah,
anywhere.
Rossi
And
Rossi has beef with Kyoko dating from something in like 2000, and he just felt like getting
uh,
back
uh,
at
He
her
saw
now.
he saw Moran and was like, "Oh shit, I gotta nerf one of these kids." Like, um, but yeah, no,
no, it's like I think the intent was probably that she was supposed to be Karma, but Karma is a complete failure. So we'll see.
yeah,
I don't even want to question the intent. It was dumb.
that's fair. Now after the match, Saya got on the microphone and she first challenged. Well, she asked Mina Shirakawa to make her way out to the ring, and she essentially said like, "I want you to have your rematch for this belt, but I want to wait until you're at your best. So I'm gonna spread my wings. You're gonna get better, and we're gonna have the match eventually, right?" So that was the Mina thing, and then Saya said, "Okay, but for my next challenger, where's Amisore?" uh, I was just like,
This shit was
"Please don't."
crazy.
I was like, "Please, you don't have to do this. We don't need to run this back. Like, we're all okay." Um, but
Her only bad match all
yeah,
year.
yeah, like Ami's the next
Yeah,
challenger, and Ami's not ready for that spot.
the worst 5-star match.
Yeah, like
The worst 5-star match of the year.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ami
No, there
isn't
there was
this
some
kind of
bad ones,
wrestler.
but
It's
definitely bottom 10.
Yes. Well, yeah, maybe. But yeah, that's gonna die a death because that's gonna follow up Kid versus Azumi probably. Like that's you're just asking for it there.
No, I think Kid Asmi might main event.
I don't know.
That's what I was.
I
That's
feel
what
like
we
the
were
white
kind of
belt will
talking about.
always go on last, but
Uh
it's
I think that's Kid said that she has one thing that she wants, and I think that's what she will want, and it's in Nagoya. So I think that's going to work.
possibly. I hope
Yeah,
so.
because they were close to main eventing last year with Natsupoi,
Mm,
and Natsupoi's a way bigger star than Ami is.
that's true. We'll have to wait and see.
But I will say that this white belt is in dire dire condition going into this Giulia reign, because I was talking about it. If Mina does win the white belt, which at this point it looks like she's going to win it and probably drop it pretty soon after, um, it's going to be hard for the white belt division uh, to even think about surviving a Giulia reign as red belt champion. Like it is going to be like Mina is going to drown as white belt champion
Well,
if
The
d-
drop.
she does
I
win.
don't know if Mina gets it because they've very much set up Kid as a potential successor
I
as
think Kid
well.
would also drown.
But this
I think that's an
like this
issue.
promo made it seem like Mina is gonna get it because Mina as well in her backstage comments is like, "I want one thing, like I want that belt." So both her and Saya are kind of saying, "Hey, that's the match." But like, if Mina's white belt champion for a Yokohama Arena show, who the hell does she face? Like, do you even put a white belt match on that show? You know, because nothing against Mina, but
The
like
only
Saya,
challenger Mina has is Hameka, Tam,
yeah,
Unagi.
but
Those are the only three, and all of those sound pretty bad for a Yokohama
that's
show.
true. Yeah, like I think Saya is just such a much bigger name than Mina at the moment, and I don't think that's crazy. I mean, she's been champion for over a year. Like that's obviously going to be the
No,
case.
you're not wrong.
But like,
And I think the thing is that depending, sorry for interrupting,
right,
but the thing depending on like the layout, I imagine Mina Saya could happen in Osaka the same day that the tag match is happening.
yeah.
Because I don't think unless they save it for Yokohama, which sounds like a
No,
crazy idea.
Well,
Yeah, I
no,
wouldn't
you
do
can't.
that.
You
no.
can't really do that because,
They have to draw crowds in between.
yeah,
Jesus Christ.
yeah. I think you would need a bigger match than that. And also I feel like they want to free up Saya. I'm on the ball that Saya versus Kyrie is a match for that show, and
See,
you probably want
you
to
know
free
what
up
I was
Saya.
thinking?
What?
Depending on how heavy-handed they want to go into the what's it called? The inter-promotional
Interpromotion, yeah.
stuff. I can see Aphrodite challenging 7 Up on that show.
Mm,
If they really want to make that tag match mean something and they want to maximize their people and maximize how many matches are like star-studded, I could see them run with that if Utami isn't challenging Giulia and Sai isn't challenging Kyrie, because there are other people who can take those spots
yeah.
very easily. Then I can definitely see them putting Aphrodite back in the tag division to do some stuff. Uh, and I mean that match in the tag league was great.
Hmm.
I have no problem with them running that back, and I think Aphrodite, after both of their title runs, could use some time being like focusing a little bit on tag team stuff. I've said this forever, but I can see them doing that if Saya loses the belt before Yokohama. But if she loses it before Yokohama, it's against Kid or against Mina, and that still sounds kind like Kid has a lot more avenues. Uh, but it still sounds a bit like the white belt is going to be
The
struggling for a while.
the only difference is that if Mina gets it in Osaka, then she's going to drop it in Yokohama to Kid.
But Mina and Kid
That's
means
the
nothing. I
that's
feel like
the
that's like
no,
the worst match
that's
you could run.
that doesn't matter. Kid's going to win in
You
Yokohama.
you could just not do a
Look,
white belt
that's
match on that show because I mean I don't think Dream Slam
oh
had an All Atlantic title match. Like if your show is big crossover matches, I don't think you need a white belt match.
Maybe
Unless it's
Mina
Saya.
defends against fucking a TJPW wrestler.
Oh God,
She
please
has beef
don't,
with all
please
of
don't,
those
please
people.
don't. I don't know. The white belt looked like it was going to be really interesting, and then they said we're going to telegraph Mina, and we're going to involve Ami, and it's like, oh, okay. So
after the worst match on the show.
yeah,
Yes.
it's like this felt like the
Where
big
is Mariah? I want Mariah to win the
yeah.
belt,
Honestly,
please.
let's get back on that Mariah train. But yeah, I don't know.
Let's be clappers.
The preempting Mina is odd because
Wait. Alex, please, sorry. Remember what you were saying in the spring, where you were big Ami Soray fan and
And
big Mirai
hated
hater?
Mariah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
okay,
just
okay.
crazy.
Mm, mm. Who was
the
on the
times
right
change.
on the correct side?
How the times
Do
change.
you want to stay on the show? I can like I could kick you out of this server. Like I'm not afraid. The show will finish 15 minutes faster if I do.
It's true.
No, but
That's true.
Long-winded.
no, but them preempting Mina is quite interesting because Stardom does like to show their hand, but I'm also like I'm so hesitant to buy into them going in on Mina, so I don't really know. I still think Kid will be the one to do it eventually. But with that, we are on to the big one, main event. So the main event of this show was the World of Stardom Championship match. It was Giulia beating Syuri in 29 minutes and 50 seconds with a glorious Northern Lights bomb. And no, that is not me putting on an adjective. That's an adjective, right? I don't know. I don't
Glorious,
teach
yes, it's an
English.
adjective. Look at the adjective. Play.
All right. But yeah, so it's not me putting words on there. It is called the Glorious Northern Lights Bomb. It's a variant that kind of mixes the wind
arm
up of
shot.
the Glorious Driver with the Northern Lights Bomb. So this match, all right, huge praise coming from this match already. Dave Meltzer rated it earlier today. He gave it 4.75 stars. On Cage Match, it currently has a 9.66 after 120 votes. It is one of the highest rated matches of the year on there. It's currently the highest rated match of the past month on there by 0.06 ahead of FTR versus the Briscoes, which was another great match. So there's so much obviously to talk about to do with this match. I think first get
Meltzer
into
rating is interesting. I feel
kind
like he
of,
would have
yeah.
gone 5 on it.
Yeah, listen, I don't know about
Like
Meltzer.
I personally don't have it as like a 5 out of 5. Like I don't have it as a 10 out of 10. But I would think that he would go 5. But it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Go on.
So I think we'll just start with the match itself, and then we'll try and stick on that. This was their best match yet. Like I feel like they cut out all of the there was just no dead space in this. They were just going for it. They were just going for as out of war from the very beginning. I think as it went on, they just managed to escalate it while also selling physicality and selling the tiredness and really just getting across the fact that they were leaving everything in there. And one of the things that I thought was genius was Giulia hit the Northern Lights bomb the first time with a few minutes left, and Syuri kicked out, and Syuri hit her super finisher as well. So instead of waiting for the two to hit their super moves, it was like, what are they gonna do? Like, what move is gonna win this? Is there gonna be a winner? There was a few minutes here where I thought they're going to a draw because they had both done the killer move that usually wins matches like these, right? So it became a thing of what is going to win this match. So I think that really added to the final stretch of this. That made the drama that much more. That made all of the moves that much better because it wasn't a case of me going, okay, when is she going to hit the Northern Lights bomb? It was, what the hell is she going to pull out to win this match? Or can she win this match? And I thought that was I just thought that was genius to get the two biggest moves out of the way, so that you were just fully in on, okay, what is actually going to end this match. They were taking
And
they were taking the
so then they did the tribute spots. So that was obviously the intention, because if they did their big moves early and then did their tribute spots for different people,
Mhm.
then every single one of them could have won the match.
Yeah, that definitely
And it felt like that.
yeah. I didn't recognize the Tiger Lily at first because
He
Julia
couldn't get the ledge
Julia
down.
just spiked her like it was a Ganzo bomb. I was like, what the hell
Yeah.
is this? But yeah, like they were taking hellacious bumps. Like the move, the creativity was great. They were like actively tired. Like they were doing the moves sloppily, like you would do moves if you were dead after 28 minutes. It was brilliant, like stuff like that. Um, I thought the tribute spots were a little bit odd. Micah and Himeka's moves getting pulled out, I was kind of like, all right, sure. And I think Natsupoi's move got pulled out at one point, and I was kind of like, I don't fully get why you're doing this, because it's not like DDM and God's Eye really feuded after the turn. Had there been a lot of hatred between them, and maybe. But I mean, I guess Syuri beat
Well,
Micah and
each
Himeka in this reign, so
yeah,
that
I was
makes
gonna
sense.
say
But even then, I'm kind of like, I don't know if that was like a DDM thing, but
I,
yeah,
I
it
think
just it was
I
weird to me.
think this was I felt Julia was, these are all the people that brought me to this spot, and she did them one by one by one by one.
Mm.
And the thing, one of the good things she did was that she not
damn
attempted
dog.
to pin Shuri after the Micah move. She went directly into Himeka's move and tried to got a near fall after that, because you cannot, because they are the tag team, so you use their moves in tandem. You do not space them out. It was really well thought out, and I like the tribute spots. I like that section of the match a lot.
That was my favorite part of the match. I think and I think the meaning of it was dope as well, because let's think about Micah was the first well, not the first, Andras was the first member of DDM that wasn't Giulia.
Hmm.
She was the first person that Giulia aligned with. Himeka was the first person to ever beat Giulia in a singles match with the concussion bomb. Um, and Hana was like Hana. So I really I liked that. The I wasn't as crazy about the match as everybody else was. Uh, I thought it was like easily one of the best matches of the year. Um, but like I still have it like around their match from earlier this year, uh, in terms of just like how I consider it, because I feel like early on it was maybe a little bit less than that match earlier this year, but then the end of this match was just my favorite like closing sequence I've seen in a very, very long time in wrestling. So, like, I really loved that Julia did the Micah move and did the Jamaica move and then did the Tiger Lily. Um, and I thought that was great. And I think I don't think that was like a meaningless thing. I think that the DDM thing, I've always felt like in companies like this, wrestlers should value their faction more uh in character, right? Because I feel like it's often like I feel like in companies like Stardom, you need to have that kind of camaraderie with your faction so that it like is believable, right? Like that's the entire point of having factions is to be around each other and like grow because of one another. And obviously, in reality, factions exist just because it's easier to book than individual people interacting at all times. But I really like that Julia kind of was like, yeah, I got here because DDM got me here, and that's the only reason why I'm about to win the world championship. And Shuri was a big part of that. You know, like you said, there wasn't a feud between God's Eye and DDM. They were the same faction until very recently, in my opinion. But I think that the meaning of this match was more than, oh, it's Shuri and Julia. It was more, oh, it's these two people who came into this company relatively together. Um, one of them grew quicker and it was unexpected, and she left. She won the world championship. She left the group, and Julia stayed true to DDM. She, stuck with the vision she had from the start, and she looked back at that vision over the past 3 years that you've been talking about. That's like this whole arc of years and years of an arc since she came in after bailing on Ice Ribbon. Um, this whole arc was like, who were the people that were monumental in it. It was her teammates and it was Hana. And I mean Konami could have been added in there. Uh but Tam, but fuck Tam. So it's like I think I really liked that she did that and I thought it was a really beautiful thing. It's probably my favorite part of the match personally.
Fair, fair, fair. Okay. I mean, I get it. Like, I get it. I think it didn't land with me the way it probably should have. because I was just kind of like, all right, that's
It's wild that everything else landed with you though, because like certain things just like didn't land with me, and I was like,
well, I don't know.
yeah,
I
that was
thought
cool.
they were just killing each other. I don't know. I like it. Velkej, on the match. Was the crowd like super into it? Like, were they like going on with it?
Yes,
Yeah, like
yes,
loudest of the night.
yes. Yeah, yeah. It's. I think this was the match that, at least, uh, this is the match why I flew to Japan.
Hmm.
Like, so I was, of course, I was invested. Uh, but I think the crowd as a whole, I I usually looked at the woman I talked about before, to see how how the local people react to stuff I watch on screen, and she was very much invested in this. As I said, she was invested in Momo and Kid in the hardcore match, in which I was not invested at all, and she was invested in this match as a whole. I think I'm not sure who she was cheering for more, because I was very much more interested in the match itself, but the crowd felt like they went on a journey with them. I'm not sure if the crowd noticed that she did, for example, the LIK finisher as well, the her half of it, the knee thing, the
Oh yes,
Kamikoya
yeah.
thing. Uh, yeah, and I'm not sure if all the people in the crowd knew the dropkick and the Tiger Lily, and knew why she did it. But it felt like the crowd was very much invested. I think the part that made the crowd invested in this match especially was the ramp spot, because that's the first time that this spot ever happened in Stardom, in modern Stardom at least. Someone suplexed of the or thrown of the ramp to the chairs next to it. It was sick.
It was sick. That's true.
So I suppose the I'm trying to find a way to talk about it because it's so like this match was the conclusion to this like really long, really well done chase for Giulia to be red belt champion, right? Like I think they deserve so much
Yeah.
credit because I said this on Twitter, but like when she joined this company, there was so much vitriol towards Giulia. Like people despised this woman. They knew she'd be red belt champion, and they were gonna push back, right? Like they were gonna hate it. Um, and instead, they managed to make it to a point where, like she like we everybody's rooting for her to win this one because she's earned it. She's the main character of Stardom, right? Like she is the central point of Stardom because of the work she's done and because Rossi's just let her, do her thing, and they've paced it all really well and they've booked it really well. And like I just think these past 3-ish months, like going from the Suzu match to this is the perfect conclusion to all that. And I feel like this, year will eventually be looked back at as like Giulia, the year that Giulia just became Stardom almost. Like you can't have Stardom without Giulia now. I think that just was really
It
drove
is.
home when I saw this finish because nobody else could put on a match like this. Like she is so smart in what she does and she makes people get into it so much. Like this was the peak of everything that she's been going for and I like what is she gonna do next is so exciting to me. But yeah, I think so much credit needs to go to Stardom for peaking everything to this point where, well, like so many people were desperate for her to win this match.
Alex is the guy who got on the Roman Reigns bandwagon like 2015 and is like just now being like, I was right, you motherfuckers, I was right. Like that's what Alex is right now. But yeah, I do find it interesting because like I mean personally I haven't been that Julia guy. You know what I mean? I was still trying to figure out if she was any good like 6 months ago. Um, because she had a serious inconsistency issue. And a lot of her big time stuff is still not my thing. But when it hits, it hits. And here it did hit. Um, it was phenomenal. But I do definitely see what you're saying in that like Everybody kind of saw us coming. I mean, we saw it coming a year ago. I think my boy Sprite was like, you know, now is way better than it would have been a year ago.
Mhm.
Had they swapped out the Shuri and Giulia stuff, because
Uh,
I don't know if she was fully ready for it a year ago.
if
Go on.
I think that when Shuri came into the company, I was super elated because she was one of the first wrestlers that I found connection to. Um, as I said, this match was the reason why I flew to Japan, paid exorbitant airplane tickets and such, because I wanted to see Shuri enter the Sumo Hall as a champion for the last time in the main event, which I did. I knew she was going to lose. That's fine, but I was talking somewhere else on Twitter or on Discord somewhere about how Shuri was booked, and I was saying in before the Utami match, the draw, the one that started it all, I was saying, or rather after that, someone was saying that it was an accident that she was that Rossi decided to give her the title because she got the 5.5 stars from Meltzer. That's complete bullshit. If you look at how she was booked, she never lost. She was always winning. She took two losses in her first 5 star. One was to Azumi and the other was to Konami. Okay, so notice the pattern. Who she lost to. She was able to avenge all she lost to Mayu in her title shot. That's fine because it's Mayu. She was able to avenge that loss, and she was able to avenge every single loss
Yeah.
she suffered from year 2017 until today. In last year, she got revenge back on Risa Serra. Risa
I
Serra
mean,
beat her back. They are right now 2-2.
to this
The
day,
only per
I don't think anybody in Stardom has beaten her twice,
no,
except for
Well, nobody
Izumi.
has a winning
That's the
record
only
against
person.
her.
yes,
Yeah, exactly.
no.
Nobody has a winning record against her.
And the only person who has she not beaten after she came back from the UFC stint is Chihiro Hashimoto.
Yeah.
That's true.
So she has came back in
Ooh, good stuff.
late 2019 and she has beaten everyone but Chihiro Hashimoto. Chihiro Hashimoto has a win over her last time. And she is 2-2 with Risa Serra and is 1-1 with Mayu Iwatani or 1-1-1 or something like that.
1-1.
So like
I believe.
and if I'm not mistaken, was the post-match promo Giulia talked to Shuri translated because she used the word I know few
Call her a
Japanese words
monster.
like bakemono and that's a monster. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was calling her a monster. She was booked like a monster, and there needed to be a monster slayer who kills her at the end. And this is what Julia achieved. She killed the monster that
Mhm.
has been ruling the whole Stardom for almost 3 years now. Like that's an achievement by itself. I don't think that the reigns could have been reversed. This is the way you do it
Yeah.
because you build a monster for someone to slay, and that someone is now a champion and will rule the Stardom their own way. And it's much better that I don't believe that Julia was supposed to be a champion before this. I don't believe that. I think Shuri was always supposed to be the champion before Julia, and Julia was supposed to defeat her. And this was the way they got to it.
Yeah, I mean, like they've clearly had a plan, right? I mean, obviously the plan got changed with, everything that happened with Hannah and Arisa and all that sort of stuff. But like they've definitely laid everything out for this Julia Carnation because she deserves it, like like she's the one of those people who's going to lead the way if Stardom wants to grow, and I think they're gonna. I think it's no coincidence that they're going into this like big 2023 with her as champion. Like she's always been the one. And I feel like there's few that offer what she does, kind of on all levels. And I think as Velkej was saying, like they built Syuri up to the point where just beating her was massive for Giulia, because she had never beaten Syuri before this either. Like they'd done that really well. Their
Yeah.
first match went to a draw, and their last match was a Syuri win. So like they've done it so well with Giulia and Syuri and kind of all that stuff. And all the while, Giulia's just been collecting enemies to where she could have as many defenses as she wants, and I think she'd still be finding stuff to do. Like it's just it's such an interesting time, and I think what we got at Dream Queendom was special. It's not often you peak a long form story with two fantastic wrestlers and one of them with all the momentum in the world, right? Like I just like this match was amazing. It's a lot of people are going to put it as a match of the year. I don't blame them. Dave Meltzer, it's one of the highest rated women's matches of 2022. Like it deserves it. And it was so well done, and like the story peaking was fantastic. There's few people more deserving of this spot than Giulia, because like she's done she's ready to die in that ring. Like she reminds me so much of Akira Hokuto, and I know this is slanderous. Like Hokuto was not gonna let anything stop her
It is.
from having the best match possible. Giulia could have her leg hanging off, and I fully believe she'd go in there and get dropped on her neck. Like you feel it with Giulia. It's real with Giulia.
I'm gonna pretend like I didn't just make the comparison. I'm gonna mention that actually I was wrong. There is a singular person with a winning record against Syuri in Stardom,
Oh, yeah.
and it's Koguma.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I know. She's 1-0. That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, no, I think I'm excited for the Giulia reign. I feel like it is a strange feeling being like way lower on Giulia than it feels like everybody else in the world is. And I like Giulia a lot. But it feels very strange to be like, yeah, I can't wait for Utami to win that shit back. Like I'm the only person that's feeling that. But I am excited for her reign. I think it's gonna be really, really good.
Mhm.
She's a lot of things built into it already that it's like it could really wrestle like half the roster and it'll mean something.
Yes.
And at least half of those people she could probably get a match of the year contender out of, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard for her to have a bad year next year outside of some crazy events or uh, terrible luck. I think that this is going to be a real major year for Giulia, and I'm excited for it. Um I always had that question about her consistency, and even when she isn't hitting for me, she's hitting overall.
Mm.
So I'm more than willing to give her the benefit of the doubt, and want to see what she does with this reign, which I imagine will be a long one. I can't see
Hopefully.
them taking it off her too quickly. So I'm
Yeah.
excited.
And
Excited to see what happens.
and for anyone who's listening right now, compare our praise after this match and for the booking of this match for how down we were on the white belt match and white belt
Yeah. Or white
direction
belt.
come totally.
Well,
Yeah.
I think they
Yeah.
both. I think they relate to each other. You know what I mean? 'Cause it's like if Shuri just retained the belt, then and we were like, okay, who's she gonna drop it to? Like, yeah, there's more excitement there, but I think that the white belt is just suffering from having expectations, and it's suffering from Giulia being such a grand champion that
It's
there's no way that this Saya Shuri stuff this year, where every show you can really argue over Shuri versus Saya, who's having a better reign. You could argue that every single month. That's not going to happen with Giulia and whoever Saya's uh successor is. It's just not going to happen.
it's
Like even if it is
it's
Mariah, who I'd be super excited about, there's no way that you can argue that Mariah is having a better run than Julia is at that point.
it,
Again, outside of some
it's as
crazy circumstances.
it's as if Saya should not have been a champion anymore.
What? No, that's not it at
Well,
all.
I
What are
mean,
you talking
Saya
about?
probably should have lost to Kyrie, yeah. But I mean, look, we've gone very long. Velkej, Velkej,
Yeah. Sorry about that.
thank you so much for joining us. You had a lot of great insight
Yeah.
from being there. You are like the unofficial
I'd
fourth
I'd
member,
off-
the sixth man award. You know.
I'd offer more insight if I was not so into the last match and if I did not just randomly leave to get a coffee.
Wild. That's wild. That was like my one question was like, oh, how is Utami's entrance live? And it's just he left.
Graceful.
Yeah, because like I was almost falling asleep and the beers were hitting me at the time.
That's fair enough. It's okay.
It's great.
But yeah, I think that's it for this show. Because I don't know if we have any. Well,
Thank you for having
the
me.
two of you could stay talking, but I don't know if people would want to keep listening for it. But yeah, we're in the reign of Giulia. We seem to be heading towards a modern day Dream Slam. Sasha Banks is about to show up next week.
Is she real?
Is she real? Syuri.
Reports say she is.
I feel like I will end this by giving Syuri her flowers. People were very strange. You know, people have had different thoughts about her reign all year. But I feel like she has delivered anytime they've needed, and like this Giulia match was just amazing. It was just it was a two-person effort. You know, a lot of praise will go to Giulia, obviously, because she was she was the one with the momentum. She was the one that went over. But Syuri was amazing in this match as well, and she had a very good reign. And you know, she deserves a little bit of time off. She's probably taken some lumps, but she is still one of
She's
the
not getting no time off.
she is still one of the pillars of modern Stardom. And you know, I'm sure her and Hashimoto will be fantastic, and we'll probably be talking about her and Hashimoto next week because she has invited Chihiro to the Corkin on the 6th of January, so there might be some movement on that by the time we record.
Are there cards set for all of these
Yes.
shows? Is it all just triangle driven?
Pretty much, yes. But I can't. I don't want to go through them.
Okay.
But yeah, with that,
We could do a whole thing next
definitely. We'll be back next week, probably after the day of Wrestle Kingdom. I imagine we'll be
Yeah, it'd be
with
day of.
Sasha. I don't know if there's any shows before then, so we might just do more stuff about
The third.
the 3rd. Okay.
third.
The opening to the triangle derby with Maya beating
Okay.
Giulia straight in the middle.
All right. Well, that's great. Well, all right. We'll be back next week then to talk about that, and we'll talk about obviously Sasha on Wrestle Kingdom. But until then, I think it's time to close the show.
Woo!
Ooh, yeah.
Last show of the year.
Good. Wow, yeah, crazy. So if you want to stand, you may stand. If you want to sit, you may sit. Believe today, shine tomorrow. You decide what you believe in. Ijo.
Ijo.
Goodbye.
Okay.